class of 1990, the most electrifying in quite some time.
Quarterbacks best since 1983.
What, are you kidding?
Computers don't kid.
Sorry. With Golden Boy Jeff George, Heisman winner Andre Ware, and a plethora of depth. Who am I to argue? What about running backs?
Wow.
Wow what?
Wow. Speed, quickness, strength. It's all here.
Right again. Blair Thomas spearheads a spectacular group, bolstered by juniors Emmitt Smith and Rodney Hampton. Hey, is there anyone that can stop these guys?
No problem. Enter Keith McCants.
A 6'4", 260-pound linebacker bent on destruction. Yeah, McCants is the new breed. Today, the National Football League begins its quest for the players of the 90s. Welcome to New York City, as for the 11th straight year, ESPN presents live the NFL Draft. It's the 55th NFL Draft. We're glad you could join us here. We'll be on for 6.5 hours here at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Manhattan, in New York City. Hi, once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and on this Earth Day, it's a day that some young men will be sky high, others will be brought down to earth, the day they've been waiting for, the day they find out who, if anyone, takes them and where, as they head into their new life as professional football players. A lot of guesswork for this draft, and we'll have a lot of trades, a lot of anticipation because of all the juniors, 38 of them, a good dozen who will go before the first 2 rounds are over. Where will they go? We can answer only one thing for certain right now. We know that junior Jeff George, Illinois quarterback, is now a quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. In a trade worked a few days ago between the Colts and the Atlanta Falcons, who own the #1 pick. Jeff George is now a member of the Colts, signing a 6-year, $15 million contract, a trade that sent Chris Hinton, Pro Bowl tackle, Andre Rison, second-year receiver, former #1 picks themselves, on the way from the Colts to the Falcons, along with a 5th and the #1 selection next year. In return, the Indianapolis Colts get Jeff George and a 4th-round selection, which would be better if, depending on how the Indianapolis Colts do next year. If they have a rough year, they will get a little bit better selection from the Atlanta Falcons. The man who engineered the trade with the Indianapolis Colts is with us now live from Indianapolis, Jimmy Irsay, man who got a hometown boy, Jeff George from Indianapolis, Indiana, into the Colts colors. Jimmy, good morning and thanks for joining us. It seems on paper to some a lot to give up. Obviously you don't feel that way. Why?
Well, we studied it a lot, and obviously we had a lot of hard thinking to do on this trade. I think it's always more difficult when you give up proven players than it is when you give up draft picks like it was in the Dickerson trade. But we really feel that Jeff is going to be a great quarterback in this league, and franchise quarterbacks just don't come along a lot. So we thought the price was justified.
Jimmy, you've rolled some pretty heavy dice a couple of times with the Dickerson trade. That did get you into the playoffs right away in '87. Since then, hasn't worked the way you had thought. The Freddie Young trade with Seattle maybe hasn't worked the way you would hoped as well. Pretty heavy dice to roll. Can you keep doing this? Obviously, I guess that's what we're in the business for, right?
Well, what we want to do is we're not interested in being praised for good trades or bad trades or whatever. The key thing is to win, and that's every move we make is designed to become the best team we can and to win a Super Bowl. And we really feel, going back in our history, when Burt Jones led us to 3 division titles in a row and came close to a Super Bowl, we really feel the quarterback is going to be a key position for us in the 90s, and we've struggled for a long time to fill Burt's shoes throughout the 80s, and we think Jeff can do that.
Jim, this is Joe Theismann. Do you believe that a quarterback alone can take you into that particular position of being a contender, or does he need help from offensive line? You've lost Utt, you've lost Hinton now. The guy's got to have somebody protecting him, and Andre Rison had 52 catches last year as a rookie. He's got to have somebody catching it. Is Jeff George your quarterback? Is Chris Chandler now your number 2?
Well, I think it's too early, Joe, to determine that. Training camp will determine that, and I really think that we have an excellent football team left in place. There's been some people that have said, well, does this mean the Colts are going to go 4-12 and struggle a couple years? And we don't look at it that way. We think we still have a good offensive line centered by Ray Donaldson with some young players like Randy Dixon and Pat Tomberlin that are going to be able to come in and fill some voids. We also feel with Billy Brooks and Clarence Verdun and James Pruitt and another 13 picks in this draft that we're going to have the opportunity to fill those voids. And again, we have not touched our defense. Our draft next year is going to be solid also. So we don't feel that we've decimated the team by this trade. And I think that you have to remember when we did make the playoffs in '87, Chris Hinton was hurt on and off that year and missed some games. Andre Rison wasn't even here. So we really feel we still have a lot of things in place and we'll be able to be productive a lot quicker than some people may think.
Jimmy, this is Chris again. Eric Dickerson, will he stay a Colt? Will he get traded today? You're in a tough spot. What do you expect to happen, if anything, today with Dickerson?
Well, again, we would entertain any offers, Chris, that we would get. At this point, I don't see it being very likely,
Colts
but
we're
willing to listen if we can make a trade that could help the team and help bring us some people that we did lose in this trade. We consider it, but in the long run, what we'd like is to have Eric come back and be in the backfield with Jeff George, and I think Eric has got at least 5 years or more left and to play on the level he's played, and we feel if we can get him back that he can be a big part and also take a lot of pressure off Jeff initially.
Jimmy, thank you very much for joining us. We know there's been a lot of excitement in Indianapolis here this weekend, and for good reason. You have your man. Now let's go to the man who was conducting his first draft, Commissioner Paul Tagliabue.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The National Football League's 55th annual selection meeting is now in session. The first selecting position in this draft is held by Dallas, but Dallas exercised that choice last year. Dallas exercised that choice last year in the supplemental draft when it selected quarterback Steve Walsh. Atlanta is in the second selecting position in this draft. Atlanta has traded its choice to Indianapolis, so Indianapolis is now up.
And to make it look good, the commissioner's waiting for the card to see if it is indeed Jeff George. I think we have the envelope, please. And by the way, guys, the crowd is certainly ready. They're in mid-season form. And now, to make it official, let's go back to the podium. Got to make sure the pronunciation's right here.
Well, yeah,
George. Here it is.
With its selects Jeff George, quarterback from Illinois.
And here he is. New quarterback, Indianapolis Colts, Jeff George. And what a proud day it is for him. And Commissioner Paul Tagliabue doing to open up the 55th NFL Draft. Mel Kiper Jr. is with us. Tom Jackson, as always. Joe Theismann. This is the third time in 4 years that a quarterback has been selected first in the NFL. Troy Aikman last year with Dallas starting. Vinny Testaverde took about half the year. Then he started toward the end of the year in '87 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Only the fifth first pick, though, for quarterback in the last 15 years. So maybe that's a new trend. There he is, number 11, Jeff George, Indianapolis Colts. Let's start right with you, Mel. You said that he would not be your top-rated quarterback in the draft.
No, he wasn't, Chris. The Colts have a storied history of draft day ineptitude, and it continues here today when you look at the Colts situation. Jimmy Irsay, commented about Jeff George, but when you talk to people in the league, it seems like Jimmy has a tendency, any deal that comes his way, he just can't pass up. It's going like that throughout the 80s. You look at Jeff George, and I projected him as a second-round pick. They gave up the ranch to get him. They protected themselves in this deal. If the pick is 1-4 next year, Atlanta has to give back a second. So what he's basically saying is, and expecting to have one of the first 2 picks, and he doesn't want to look bad like, say, the Cowboys, who lost that first pick because of the Steve Wolf scenario.
I find it fitting the way you're talking about all this Jeff George is appearing over your shoulder. So we have some debate. Joe, that's the position you played and played quite well, won a Super Bowl. We're in a couple of them. Does he have the tools to warrant this top pick?
Yeah, he does have the tools, but I don't think to warrant this top pick. Jeff George is a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I don't believe that you give up a proven offensive tackle, an all-pro tackle, and a proven young wide receiver who was your #1 pick last year. I really think that the Colts have put this one out on a limb. I have an idea that the Mayflower trucks may be warming up again because he's here. You see him release the ball. I mean, he's got all the tools. He's got good size, good poise in the pocket. They've compared him to having the Marino size, the Kelly mobility, and here we see him rolling on the run, and then the Elway arm when he sets and fires the football. There's no doubt he has a little bit of touch on the ball. Like I say, he's a very good football player, but the fact that you give up so many people and really the nucleus of what protects a quarterback makes it a little scary.
All right, so the first selection is Jeff George. Tommy, we'll get to you in a moment, but let's go back to the podium. The second pick belongs to the New York Jets. It still belongs to the New York Jets, as the commissioner's waiting for the card, and I would have to say a 99% shot that it's going to be Blair Thomas, running back from Penn State. We'll know.
The New York Jets select Blair Thomas, running back, Penn State.
And so the Jetniks, and there's Blair right there, running back from Penn State, just as good a football player as he is, he may be an even better person. He's a winner on every, and he has his number 32. So the uniform guys around the league working overtime this weekend to get the unis ready. And Blair Thomas, a guy who was second for Penn State all-time rushing to Kurt Warner, 3,301 yards, averaging 5.7 yards a carry during his career, has excellent hands, 48 career receptions, can return kicks for
New
you
England
if
is
that's what you
now
want.
up.
He can return punts for you if that's what you want. And he is a young man who growing up in the Philadelphia area, to show what kind of gumption he has, himself bussed himself to another school to get a better education. Blair Thomas, Tommy, is a back that can pretty much do everything. And before we get to Blair, let's just tell you that the third pick, owned by New England, has been traded to the Seattle Seahawks. We'll get exactly the deal for that in a moment. But Seattle, which owned the 8th and the 10th pick, New England had the 3rd overall pick. They've just made a deal. So the Seahawks now have 15 minutes and want the guy who they're looking for is Cortez Kennedy, defensive lineman from Miami, who is head and shoulders, many people think, above anybody else at that position. They've been looking for a guy like that for 5 years. Real quickly, Tommy, on a Blair Thomas. A winner in the locker room, and it starts there, doesn't it?
Well, a winner in the locker room, anytime you play for Paterno, you're going to come out with a great attitude. And I think he's a back typically out of the Penn State mold, a guy who has very quick feet, a lot of flash and dash ability to be a breakaway runner, break the big play for you, completely recovered from a knee injury that he received. And I think this kid's going to help the Jets a lot. But you don't do a whole lot without an offensive line, and at some point along the line, the Jets will have to address that problem.
Well, Blair Thomas, though, a character in the locker room?
Well, I think that Tommy brings up a very interesting point. Right now, general managers, coaches, player personnel directors, not only looking at the athletic ability of these athletes, but they're looking about, number one, who represents them? Are they going to be able to get them into camp? And number two, what type of people are they? Those factors have really made a very big difference in where teams select their #1 picks.
All right,
Here's the result of a trade with New England. Seattle is now on the clock. The trade is as follows. New England trades its 1st and 2nd round selections in this 1990 draft to Seattle. in return for Seattle's first-round selection in this 1990 draft, Indianapolis's first-round selection in 1990, acquired earlier in the Fred Young trade, Seattle's third-round selection in 1990, and Seattle's fourth-round selection in 1991. Seattle is now on the clock. New England will exercise the 8th and 10th spots in this draft round.
And so the trade has been made. Seattle comes out better than perhaps people thought they would. They figured they'd just have to give the 8 and the 10 overall to move up to the number 3 spot. But they at least get New England second out of it, and you heard the other deals
After
involved.
paying in the 4th spot in the first round, the
Seahawks
Buccaneers drafted 6th,
may
5th,
have a
and
shot to
4th
get their
in
man,
subsequent
Cortez
rounds.
Kennedy. Let's go up
The additional
to
4th
Robin
round pick came
Robertson,
from
the
Denver
inimitable one,
Broncos
Fred
in return
Edelstein.
for defensive end
Thanks a
Ron
lot, Chris.
Holmes.
I am with Fred
8th round pick
Edelstein,
went to the
and
Rams
you
as part
thought
of the
this would happen. The
1989
number 3
draft
pick was
day.
going to be pivotal. It doesn't surprise you that New England traded today.
No, this trade was basically in effect last night. It was all depending upon Blair Thomas going to the Jets. I think what you're going to see is that New England is going to take with the 8th pick either Ray Agnew from NC State or Chris Singleton, the linebacker from Arizona. And with the other pick that they picked up, we'll probably pick up Harold Green, the running back from South Carolina. As far as other situations coming about, it looks like we could have a trade with San Diego if Junior Seau isn't on the deck. This story with Keith McCants has put a lot of pressure on Ray Perkins today. Ray Perkins is going to have to decide whether he wants to take Keith McCants or Junior Seau. One thing I will tell you is that Junior Seau and his agent are here, and I talked to Steve Feldman, his agent, and they do not want to go to Tampa Bay. So if Tampa Bay takes Junior Seau, they could be in for a long holdout because these guys could force a trade. They wanted to go to New York. They want to go to San Diego. If San Diego gets Seau, I don't think they're going to trade the pick. One trade that I think is about to be executed right now, it looks like the 49ers are finally trading Tim McKyer to Houston for a number 2 pick.
So you're expecting a lot of activity today?
Well, yeah. In a word.
Well, buckle up. We're going to go to Ben Bennett, who is in Seattle, with reaction to the Seattle trade. Ben?
Well, thank you, Robin. I'm here in Seattle, and we've talked to the Seattle organization people all the last couple of days. They have said, we want Cortez Kennedy. Now they've made the deal, and a lot of people speculated that they might be giving up an awful lot by giving 2 picks in the top 10, giving them away to get Cortez Kennedy. Well, Cortez Kennedy is a proven talent from Miami, and he's going to be a big help to a defensive line in Seattle that needs a lot of help. Now, what they've done, though, is to cushion this trade, they've also gotten New England's second-round pick. So in addition to having the number 3 pick with Cortez Kennedy, they still have the 29th pick and the 34th pick in this draft, still giving him 3 picks in the top 34. There's a lot of talent. There's going to be a lot of good linebackers left around when Seattle has that 29th pick. They're probably going to make all 3 of their picks defensive players. Good day in Seattle so far. Back to you, Chris.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. And now let's kind of talk about the Seahawks a little bit, Tommy, because this is a team that a couple years ago won the AFC West finally, but last year slipped quite a bit. Kurt Warner is gone. They're making a lot of changes. First of all, on defense, I know they want to go 4-3. One of the things they wanted, with the uncertainty about the Paz, who may be finished, they'll know that in training camp. Tony Woods, linebacker, they picked very high a couple years ago. They're projecting him as a down lineman. They've got Jacob Green, they've got Jeff Bryant, they've got Joe Nash, who have been there a long, long time. They've done very well, but they've been looking for some help along there. Now, Bryant is really a perfect tackle in there. If they can get Cortez Kennedy and play him in a 4-3 with Tony Woods, another down lineman, get Rufus Porter in all the time, he's a great pass rusher. I mean, is this one of the things that Chuck is doing? People won't believe it.
Well, that certainly is, and Chuck has talked about moving Jacob Green. He wants to move him outside, wants to play the 4-3. I think that a lot of people had speculated on the fact that he might be looking for a running back with Kurt Warner leaving. He said that's not the case. John L. Williams has been a good player for him, also James Jones. But I think one of the surprising things that we talked about when we talked with the Seattle Seahawks is that the fact that Chuck may run a little bit of run and shoot.
No, wait a minute. Chuck Knox Run and shoot. Did I hear you? This is Air Chuck? What?
I don't think that his philosophy totally will change, but he wants to be a coach who has some surprise things in mind on first down and an ability to stretch the field out the way he used to. And the one thing that will do is put them in a single back offense. So maybe you don't need to replace a guy like a Kurt Warner, and he definitely is looking for Cortez Kennedy.
So Chuck Knox may be shaking things up a little bit in the 90s. Seattle is up with the 3rd pick in the draft. And we'll be back here to New York in just a moment. Stay with us.
Now, well, so how many cars does Mercedes test crash every year?
Oh, I say about 100.
Really, that many?
Yeah, well, you can never learn enough. Ever since we had it patented, we have been improving this concept of the energy-absorbing car body.
Obviously, it's all about absorbing energy. Now, wait a minute. You said you had it patented?
Yes, in 1951.
But other companies use the concept.
Yes, many.
Well, you just said you...
We have never enforced the patent.
Really? So Mercedes just really gave away this advance in car technology for free?
There are some things in life that are too important not to share.
There are those who thirst for something different, an escape from the ordinary. For them, there is a beer that refreshes like no other. Michelob Dry. Once you've experienced its bold taste with no aftertaste, there's no going back.
We go above and beyond just like you, above and beyond what we have to do.
I'm a Prudential representative, and I help people review their life insurance needs because I know how much the right life insurance means to me and my family.
You take pride in your life, so do we. Going above and beyond is our policy. The Rock, the Prudential, above and beyond.
This ESPN NFL special, the 1990 Draft, is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. By Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. And by the companies of the Prudential. Come to the Prudential and build your future on the Rock.
Welcome back to ESPN's continuing coverage of the NFL Draft. This is the 11th consecutive year that we have been covering the draft. We're here at the Marriott Marquis in New York City. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Robin Roberts. In case you're joining us late, you haven't missed much. As you know, Jeff George, the top pick in that trade with the Falcons, the Colts making him the #1 pick. Then the Jets went with a running back, Blair Thomas, out of Penn State. And then this is where it gets interesting. New England traded with Seattle. And so now Seattle is on the clock, and we're waiting for their selection. But in the trade, the Patriots received 2 first-round selections in this draft, also a 3rd-round selection, and the 4th-round selection in '91. While the Seahawks receive a first-round selection, they will pick in the 8th slot, and then also a 2nd-round selection next year. So now Seattle is still on the clock, and we're awaiting their selection. We'll go back down to Chris Berman and the guys.
All right, Robin, thank you. Good work by Seattle, actually, because we thought that they would just have to give up the 8 and 10 selection, and that's it, to move up to get Cortez Kennedy. Let's start at the top with Jeff George, Joe. He's going to be the starter, I assume.
Well, you know, when we asked Jim Irsay about it, he says, no, there's going to be competition in training camp. And then a little bit later in what he said right here on ESPN, he said, we want to get Eric Dickerson behind Jeff George. I mean, he's making no bones about the fact that Jeff George is going to be his quarterback. If he's not, he's going to have a tough time justifying all that money. So Jeff George probably will be the quarterback. But I wonder I think Chris Chandler is a very good quarterback. I think Jack Trudeau is a very good backup. I think they were okay at that position. I mean, you're looking at the Fred Young trade, the Eric Dickerson trade, now this trade for Chris Hinton and Andre Rison. I don't see a lot of help coming unless he plans on signing a ton of people out of Plan B to fill his coffer here in the next couple years.
We will go back to that. About 3.5 minutes left for the Seahawks to make their selection, and here it is. Cortez.
With a choice obtained from New England, the Seattle Seahawks select Cortez Kennedy, defensive tackle, University of Miami. Tampa Bay is now up.
So Cortez Kennedy, now a first-round draft
Cortez
pick
Kennedy
of the Seattle
will go on to
Seahawks,
become a Seahawks
and this really
Hall of
enables
Famer.
them to start
He would also be inducted
start
into
putting
the
in their
Seahawks
thoughts
Ring of
about a
Honor.
4-3. Really only played this last year, as far as the starter's concerned, with Miami. But my, how did he play? 87 tackles, 42 of them solos. Led the team with 22 tackles for a loss. Finished the year with 16 quarterback pressures. And Tommy, you studied a lot of film of Cortez Kennedy. He's mammoth.
Well, he's a bull in the middle of the football field, but he's extremely quick for a guy his size. There you see him getting the pass rush on. He has the ability to go by people like a guy who only weighs 260 pounds.
Even though he weighs about 300.
When you consider the fact that he's 295, 300, maybe plus at times, I think that he's going to be a tremendous asset for any team. The one thing that I think may be a problem for Cortez, and this is something that he will have to look at, is trying to keep that weight somehow down and keep his quickness and be able to, you don't want to become the next Fridge.
No, and I don't know that Seattle is particularly worried about it, but you say
player.
At 300
Outstanding
pounds,
player.
Is he head and shoulders above the other pass rushers, down linemen in this draft?
Well, that's the whole key, Chris. Cortez Kennedy was head and shoulders above every other defensive lineman. Seattle needed beef. He's up to 290. Like Tommy said, he has retained that 4.87 speed. Jacob Green's near the end of the trail and is undersized. Nash is undersized. He provides the kind of size Knox is looking for at that defensive tackle position.
All right, so Cortez Kennedy, member of the Seattle, well, he's not a member yet, but he's drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. That means New England will have 2 selections in the first 10 picks here in this draft. Where do you think they're going?
Well, a lot of speculation, Chris, about John Stevens possibly being traded and New England looking to Harold Green. The interesting thing I wanted to point out about this last trade between New England and Seattle, Seattle talked to the Jets on Friday, basically offered them the same package. The Jets refused. We saw footage of Blair Thomas at the Senior Bowl. That was when Dick Steinberg fell in love with Blair Thomas and really made him the second pick in the draft at that point. So it looks like that shows you how high Dick Steinberg was on Blair Thomas, rejecting the deal that was offered by the Seattle Seahawks on Friday.
All right, when this draft began, or not when the draft began, but when people really started thinking about it publicly in the beginning of this calendar year in 1990, the name Keith McCants had to be everybody's top choice. Junior linebacker, Alabama, deciding to come out. And everybody figured that he would go first, that he would indeed become a member of the Falcons or whatever they wanted to do with their pick. If you were with us, weren't with us this morning on game day, before the draft began, we reported the story out of the Atlanta Constitution, citing 2 unnamed physicians that said that Keith McCants may need knee surgery that would shelve him for 6 or 7 months, in all essence, shelve him for the entire 1990 season. Now, this comes on top of some things that have been questioned about McCants, maybe that he doesn't work as hard as he should, maybe that off the field he's enjoying himself too much. A lot of people who may not have been in the know, but nevertheless shaded the perception of Keith McCants. Tampa Bay has the next selection. Ray Perkins is the one that recruited him when he was the coach at Alabama. And so all of this angst that Keith has been feeling may go by the boards in about 10 seconds. We'll see what the Bucs do.
Tampa Bay selects Keith McCants, linebacker, University of Alabama.
Good. That's done.
Yes.
Close the book on that.
Yes.
He's not
Next
the first
up
pick
is,
overall.
San Diego.
But there he is, Keith McCants. And we told you, Keith was with us earlier from his home in Mobile. We told you to relax. It wouldn't take that long. You're drafted by the Buccaneers and a guy you know full.
Right.
You can smile.
All
How do you
right.
feel, my friend?
Hey, I feel great. It's a dream come true. It's all over with now.
Ray Perkins talked to you a little while ago. Did you have a conversation with him yet, Keith?
Yes, I talked to him a few minutes ago, and we discussed some things that we're going to have to do. And the conversation went well. I'm looking forward to going to Tampa.
For those who weren't with us before, Knee. The question of your knee. Will you need surgery of any type? What's the status of it?
Well, everybody talking about my knee. I had a simple sculpt done my junior year in high school, and it's been like that ever since. And it's very mind-boggling to me that this thing would come up the day of the draft. 27 doctors of the NFL looked at it, and they said that I got a little swelling. I can have surgery if I want to. Other than that, I just have to deal with the pain and play. I've been doing it for 4 years, and my knee is not a major concern. Because once I step on the field, my performance will take care of itself.
Keith, now you get to inflict some pain on opposing running backs and quarterbacks. Congratulations on your getting selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yes, you can keep that
San
smile.
Diego
Here's
Chargers
San Diego's
select Junior Seau, linebacker, USC. Chicago is now up.
Well, welcome to the Bonneville Salt Flats, because the picks are flying fast and furious here. We had to cut Keith a little bit short there because of the San Diego Chargers. Bobby Beathard, here's an upset of the week.
This draft
did not
was one of
trade
the
his
more
first-round pick, the 5th overall,
of players
and he selected
in
Junior
the
Seau,
1990s of football.
linebacker
There are
from
many
USC.
superstars
So
and
backer
plenty of Hall
in
of
picks
Famers
4
in
and
this
5. Let's start with Keith McCants, who now goes to Ray Perkins, a man who he knew well in high school, as Ray recruited him out of Mobile, Alabama. And Mel, you think he should still be the top pick? He's the top player. Maybe he and Blair?
He was definitely the #1 defensive player in this draft. Carried the highest grade in my range. You see him at a defensive end position, down defensive end. You see his ability to play in space, make tackles, pursue, closing, speed, range. He can project to an outside linebacker, inside linebacker, may even grow into a down defensive end in the Chris Dolman mold. So a great pick here. When a kid slides, it almost guarantees your Pro Bowl status in the NFL. Just a situation of overreacting to a workout. All the rumors about the knee could have come from other teams thinking about trading up. Just a great move for the Bucs, getting a guy who should have been the #1 pick in the draft.
All right, and so Keith McCants now linebacker, 2 straight years for Tampa Bay. Broderick Thomas last year. Now here's Junior Seau from USC, another junior to come out. I mean, obviously his name is Junior Seau. He's got to come into this draft. His name was Senior Seau. He would have stayed for his 4th year, for another year. The one question on Junior is he hasn't dropped back into pass coverage much, but he played at USC, Mel. It's not as if he hasn't seen the passing game.
Well, we just showed some good hands there, Seau with the interception. You can see him penetrating into the backfield. This kid has awesome explosive tackling ability. Best conditioned USC athlete, runs 4.6 at 240. Bobby Beathard gave up a lot to get Wilbur Marshall when he was with the Redskins. You can see how he feels about the outside linebacker. He has a versatile kid in Billy Ray Smith who can maybe move back inside. With Lee Williams and that cast of characters in the front 7, San Diego has a real chance to be one of the top defensive football teams in the front 7 in the National Football League.
So Junior Seau, born in American Samoa, cousin of pro players Pete and Al Noga and the late Salinisi of quarterback from Colorado. Everybody knows that story. Let's go McCants, but also Seau, Tommy, because these are the top 2 linebackers. Let's compare Keith McCants and Joe to the Alabama alumni who have come out and been pretty decent the last couple of years. Cornelius Bennett, Derek Thomas. Where's McCants on that scale?
Well, I think he has the ability to be a Cornelius Bennett type player. Now, you know, people talk about in that same mold as LT. You don't know that until time goes by. I think that what Mel pointed out, very important. Keith is so versatile, has the ability to do so many things and do them well. You know, I don't think the knee is going to be a problem for him. I think he'll work hard. I've never heard his work ethic questioned until this last month of the season. Junior Seau, a tremendous athlete, bench presses 440 pounds, the best conditioned athlete on the team. And when the question mark comes about dropping into coverage, that is something in the pros that you can teach. You can make a guy catch 100 balls after practice, and that's something that you can get good at.
Joe, San Diego's Bobby Beathard, there was talk that maybe he would trade, but maybe he would go with Richmond Webb, the tackle who was head and shoulders above anybody else at that position. but defense, he gets a guy that can make more of an impact. You surprised?
No, not at all. Bobby had talked about Webb, he talked about Seau, he talked about Williams, the cornerback. So he was looking a little bit more towards defense. Bobby is going right across the program. When I talked to him, he said, this is a little of an unusual situation for me. I haven't drafted this high in so long. That's why I felt like he'd keep it, if for no other reason, sentimental sake. He hadn't really had one. I think he's made a good choice, and really the Chargers want to continue to build on offense. They got some good running backs in the plan B with Sanders, and it's going to help them as far as their overall scheme goes of making that football team better. As far as Junior Seau goes, the most important thing there is he has come out of USC, a good basic program. Now back to Keith McCants, he's going back to a coach who knew him when he was a kid. And I think he's going to have a little bit of that fatherly touch that'll help him adjust to the professional world.
All right, so two linebackers now know where they're going. McCants, Tampa Bay, Seau, San Diego. What will the Bears do? We'll be back with their pick in a moment.
Limited run trucks, we can offer you the best truck bargains I've seen in years. During this sale, you can buy a new 1990 Ranger XLT loaded with equipment including air conditioning for under $9,000, or a new Bronco 2 XLT with air conditioning, power windows and locks, and loads of extra equipment for under $14,000. That's a savings of about $5,000. We cannot duplicate these trucks at these prices. Another way to buy the best for less from Hirsch Ford Lincoln Mercury.
Today, you want to eat right. Right. You want to eat light. Light. You want to eat smoked sausage. Smoked sausage?
Introducing new Eckrich Light Smoked Sausage with 25% less fat and calories than other leading brands. And it has the taste you can sink your teeth into. So try new Eckrich Light Smoked Sausage and all our new light meats.
I feel lighter already.
Eckrich Light at Al's Hometown Supermarkets, Michigan City and LaPorte.
Back of a back can't be beat with baseball 4 nights a week. Major League under the lights, ESPN baseball tonight. Tuesday, Friday, doubleheader. Wednesday, nothing better. Catch it Sunday, watch the fun. Sunday night, our home run.
The National League champion Giants face the Padres on Sunday Night Baseball, live at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Baseball tonight.
Back here at the 55th NFL Draft in New York, the next pick belongs to the Chicago Bears. Here's where the fun begins, because the first 5 we had a good idea. Now, it's one of 3 or 4 players, maybe defense, maybe Webb. But right now, let's go out to San Diego, where Kevin Kiley is with a couple of guys, of former Redskins, who aren't used to picking this high. Kevin?
Thank you, Chris. We are in San Diego. We're not in Washington with Bobby Beathard, now the general manager of the Chargers, and Dan Henning, the head coach. Bobby, it took you about 30 seconds to pick Junior Seau of Southern Cal. You had talked about offensive line and cornerback yesterday when I spoke with you, but both of you had agreed that you have to win with defense, so it was Junior Seau.
Yes, the way it fell, we were a little surprised. Yesterday we got the feeling that it might end up Junior Seau. We had talked about Richmond Webb all along, and that was our choice. But when Junior fell to us, we couldn't pass him up.
Dan, what does he do for your defense? Already a fine defense, but now he'll really add a lot, won't he?
This is a special type of guy. You know, one of the reasons Bobby decided to take him here is because he was closer. We wouldn't have to spend that much money to fly him in. So, he's a real intelligent guy, plays hard all the time, and we're just fortunate to get him, I think.
Fellas, could you tell me, Keith McCants went just ahead of Junior Seau. Could you compare the two backers?
Well, I think they're both... they can be dominating players in the league. Keith McCants is a special player also. We were a little concerned about Keith's knee. We didn't expect him to fall to us with Tampa picking ahead, but Junior Seau was the guy that we wanted if he did get this far, and fortunately for us, he did.
All right, your second-round pick went to the Bears for Jim McMahon last year. You do not have a second-round pick. Can we expect any Bobby Beathard stuff to come up here?
Well, we were hoping we'd get a second for Gary Anderson. That didn't work out. Right now, we're kind of at a loss of how we're going to get a second-round pick. We're going to see what falls in the first round. If there's a player there in the second that we feel strongly about, then we'll try to come up with some way to get one, but I'm not too optimistic.
All right, fellas, congratulations, Junior Seau, a great player. Good luck in the rest of the draft. We'll see you a little bit later. Right now, let's go back to New York and Chris Berman.
All right, Kevin, thank you. It looks strange to see Bobby without a phone attached to his ear. They had to surgically remove it now that he's not one of the insiders anymore. He's inside the San Diego War Room. Next up, the Chicago Bears. The Bears will be the busiest on this 6.5-hour show. They've got this first-round pick. They have a pair of seconds, picking 32 and 33. They have 2 third-round picks, which means they'll have 5 of the top 64. Now, you're talking about a team in the Chicago Bears that since 1983 has had 10 first-round selections. 9 of them are still starting, 7 of them for them, with Galt and Wilbur Marshall and other places. So in the last 6, 7, 8 years, the Bears drafting has been superb. They will have the most picks during the course of this show. Of course, it's a 12-round draft, but 5 of those picks in the first 64. I'm going to hazard a guess, Mel. It's Ray Agnew, defensive lineman, North Carolina State. Any shot for you?
They have a lot of options. The Bears are in a great position. They need help on the defensive line. You mentioned Agnew. We have a swing guy in Turnbull. They need outside linebacking help. You have Lathan, Singleton, Francis. You have offensive tackle Richmond Webb, a guy that they could use. Interesting thing here is Detroit. Everybody knows that Detroit is considering Andre Ware. Does a team like New Orleans, New England try to move up to get ahead of Detroit, with Chicago having a history of maybe moving down if the right deal comes along? Interesting pick here. A lot of options. I think we covered all the bases, hopefully. But this is a very interesting pick, and one will dictate what happens from this point on down.
All right, guys, it's your turn to hazard a guess. Chicago Bears, Tommy, defense. I know you always want to see every.
I think they need to do something in the defensive line, and I think that has to be more of a priority for them right now, especially with the injury to Hampton, who was the guy who, to me, anchored everything. And I think they need that type of player.
Joe, the bottom fell out on them after a 4-0 September. Where are they going?
I think they're going to go offense. I think Richmond Webb gives them a little bit more youth back in the offensive line. Defensively, they may be able to squeeze another year out. They may be able to pick up a Jeff Alm out of Notre Dame to fill in maybe at the tackle position after one of their other picks. So I have a tendency to think they may go to the offensive tackle way.
All right, the Bears are up next, and then their NFC Central mates, the Detroit Lions, are after that. Is it almost Andre Ware time? He's on the horn, and he's with us. We'll be back.
No matter where in the world you find yourself, if you lose your Visa Gold Card, we'll be sure to find you, because Visa will deliver a new card and emergency cash right to you. Whether you're negotiating the powder in Zermatt, exploring the coral off Bermuda, or simply checking out some Puyi Fumé at the Hotel de la Bretèche, where you can't even check in with American Express. Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
The real test of a power mower is starting it easily on the first pull. That's why Sears is putting 100 Craftsman Eager One mowers on the line. Look at that. 99 first pull starts out of 100. No wonder there are more craftsmen on the job than any other brand.
And now through Saturday during Sears Show and Sale, this 3.5 horsepower Craftsman lawnmower is only $199. So don't miss it.
We're in New York, but you're looking at Heisman Trophy winner Andre Ware at his home in Dickinson, Texas, just outside of Houston. He is on the phone with the Detroit Lions, we understand, and they pick after the Bears. So anyone who might want Andre Ware at quarterback might want to call the Bears. Gee, I don't have the number, but I think it's in the NFL guides. You might want to make that pick. So the Bears have 3 minutes left on their card, and we're going to get into something in a moment. Still, we're talking Bears, but no, they don't have a card yet. They're clapping for Blair Thomas, we understand. See, they've turned us around this year. I can't see anything. You're seeing it at home, but I'm the only guy in America that can't see what's going on here in New York. So I have to take what's being told me in my ear and my producer, Fred Godelli, and his word for it. At any rate, Andre Ware. The Detroit Lions were very, very quiet, not putting out any signals at all that they're interested in Ware. But, guys, they're committed to the run and shoot. This is the best guy that ever ran the run and shoot. Why not, Joe?
Well, there is no why not. Detroit has got to take Andre Ware. If Detroit doesn't take Andre Ware, it could be the worst selection that has ever been made in the history of football. Mouse Davis was Jack Pardee's offensive coordinator with the Houston Gamblers. Jack Pardee was Andre Ware's coach in college. Andre Ware is actually going to be ahead of anybody he competes in the run and shoot offense in Detroit. He is going to make Detroit.
He could coach it.
He could coach it. He's also going to make Detroit, I believe, an instant contender in the Central Division. Just his presence. Now you get a real solid, good guy there in Rodney Rodney Peete to help out. You got two young quarterbacks who can get the job done. I like Detroit, and I hope, for Andre Ware's sake, they take him. I hope that's a deal that he's talking about on the phone, not just a selection.
Andre Ware, you know what worries me about Andre Ware, Mel? He doesn't throw enough touchdown passes. 75 in his college career. Hey, he's got to go there, right?
Well, you see Andre Ware and you see energy, and that's what you need in a leadership role from a quarterback. And I love Andre Ware. I think he should have been the number 1, number 2 pick. He's a franchise quarterback. In Detroit, he'll be unbelievable. This is an up-and-coming playoff Super Bowl team. Heisman Trophy winner last year with Sanders. Heisman Trophy winner this year with Ware. A great choice. And as Joe mentioned, you need two quarterbacks. Jimmy Johnson pointed that out. With Rodney Peete and Ware, great situation for the Detroit Lions. So they're on their way up.
Here are your quarterbacks. Now, Jeff George, you rated 5th. We've discussed that, but he's already gone. There may be quite a gap until we hear from another one. But Ware, you had rated at the top. And this, we should note, guys, is a division which is in flux. The Bears always won the thing. Now, of course, Minnesota won the NFC Central last year. But the teams at the bottom, Detroit made a big move. Obviously, the Packers were close to a playoff berth. Tampa Bay beat the Bears a couple times last year, so the division
right
is
after
in
the
flux.
San Diego Chargers
we'll continue the discussion in a moment, but the Bears sending the card to the commissioner.
Another USC player would be picked right after him in the first round of the NFL draft.
In the first hour in New York. Chicago Bears,
safety
5 of the top 64 picks.
And 6th pick.
And as the fans sing the final Jeopardy theme song for the first time and count down the clock
early on in the draft, which is pretty rare.
We shall see. The Bears.
The Chicago Bears select Mark Carrier, defensive back, USC. The Detroit Lions are now up.
Back-to-back USC players selected. This is a bit of a surprise, although Mark Carrier, Mel, the top-rated safety for sure, and he, like Junior Seau, coming out a year early, so the Trojans go 5 and 6. Mark Carrier, USC, a bit of a surprise?
Somewhat good football player. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was considered a mid to late first-round pick, maybe a little earlier than projected, but the guy's a fine football player and possibly a future Pro Bowler. Great instincts, outstanding hands for the interception, tremendously productive. That's what the Bears like. Major college guys who are productive. Mark Carrier has both these qualities. You can see the instinctive ability to find the ball, make the catch. Kid makes things happen. You can't argue with this choice. Mark Carrier will be a future Pro Bowl performer.
Well, and if you want to compare him to a couple of former USC defensive backs named Ronnie Lott and Dennis Smith, he'll take that comparison, won't he?
Well, I think that he is. You can compare him in style to those kind of players. I don't think that he has quite the size of a Dennis Smith, and nobody is the kind of hitter that Ronnie Lott is in the league. But I have to question this pick because I think that Chicago had needs that maybe should have taken a little bit more priority than the safety spot.
One thing, Tommy, about this pick, I think you mentioned the need area, and of course defensive back, you're talking about a situation that's not as deep as linebacker and defensive line. And with that in mind, maybe the Bears figure with those two picks, 32-33, they'll be able to acquire a linebacker that slides through, a defensive lineman that slides through, that there's not going to be a Mark Carrier there at that point. So with him being the number 1 safety, above and beyond Pat Terrell and Alton Montgomery, I think Tobin felt like we can get value 32-33 at other positions, not at safety.
Good pick for the Bears, Joe?
Good pick. You know, we're really looking at a football team that's in a great transition, defensively in particular. The Bears have won their division on defense, not necessarily with offensive firepower. They've got to reload in that area. I think it's a fine pick. They could have gone anywhere on that side and done very well.
So they get the Jim Thorpe Award winner. Mark Carrier goes now to the Chicago Bears. The Detroit Lions are next up. And if they do go with Andre Ware, back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners for them. Barry Sanders, Andre Ware, last time that happened, Tampa Bay tried it, 86 and 87. Bull, they don't have. Vinny, they still have. Let's go up now to Fred Edelstein with Robin Roberts.
Well, Chris, I have some interesting thing on this Mark Carrier thing. I was told last night that the agent for Mark Carrier had called the Chicago Bears and told him that if Mark Carrier would agree to accept a $1.2 million bonus with the $300,000 salary escalating in that area, that they would make him their pick in the draft. So I think that maybe one of the big things here, yeah, they did draft for a need, but I think that they wanted to get the financial thing under control. And the reason that Mark Carrier was the Bears pick was because I believe Mark Carrier has agreed to the Bears terms even before he was made the pick. Robin?
How about Andre Ware? Everybody's talking about the Lions. It seems like a perfect marriage. The run and shoot. He's got the arm strength, can get it out to the receivers really quick. What do you hear about Andre Ware and the Lions?
Well, yesterday morning, apparently the Lions had a vote on who their pick would be, and there was real division in their camp between James Francis, the linebacker from Baylor, and Andre Ware. I am told that James Francis took the day. However, late last night I was told that the offensive people of the Lions were so hot on Andre Ware that they did it all over again, and now Andre Ware is the guy, and I would expect that Andre Ware will probably be the Lions' pick here.
Well, we should know in a couple of minutes. There's about 2 minutes left to go for the Lions to make their selection. There's Andre Ware at his home in Dixon, Texas, and we'll have more from the draft in just a moment.
You gotta love a place where you get a lot of space for not a lot of money, and the breakfast is free. At Hampton Inn, you got our guarantee. Spend a lot of nights, you gotta feel right. In the morning, it's a place to be. At Hampton Inn, yeah, you got our guarantee.
A comfortable room, free local calls, free continental breakfast, and our guarantee you'll be completely satisfied or you don't pay. You gotta love us.
At Hampton Inn, yeah, you got our guarantee.
I happen to be a serious football fan for some very good reasons. First, there's all those big, strong hunks in those tight uniforms. Whoa! And I love it when they get into those little huddles to talk all about that football talk. I formations, traps, bootleg left, bootleg right, post patterns, butt and hooks. Woohoo, I love that one.
Gladys Knight, not your everyday fan, for Team NFL merchandise. For your catalog, call 1-800-USA for NFL.
Butt and hooks. I wonder if I could teach that to the Pips.
Sunday night, see two of baseball's sweetest swings. Will the Thrill Clark leads the Giants against National League batting champ Tony Gwynn and the Padres. Sunday Night Baseball live at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
All right, we are back here in New York at the 55th NFL Draft. 6 picks thus far, 4 juniors, 2 seniors, and one of them named Junior Seau, chosen by the San Diego Chargers. Will there be a 5th junior selected with the 7th overall selection? That would be Andre Ware with Detroit. Lee Corso, the coach, is with Andre at his home in Dickinson, Texas. Lee?
Andre, can you believe it? A year ago, you were starting your junior year at Houston. You were just starting your first year quarterback, and now you won the Heisman Trophy, and you're about to become a millionaire. Can you believe it?
No, a lot's happened this past year. You know, it was my first year to finally get the starting job at Houston, and a lot of things have happened. The Heisman Trophy, and now this. You know, we're here today, so I couldn't have ever imagined it.
If you had your choice of anybody to play in the National Football League, who would it be?
Well, you know, I'd be happy to play anywhere. It's just a dream to play in the NFL, so I would be happy just about going anywhere.
But wouldn't it be nice to play with the run and shoot inside?
Well, you know, it's a possibility. And
the phone call, I know it wasn't from the Orlando Renegades, the United States Football League. It had to be from somebody from the National Football League. What did they have to say to you?
Well, it was a team that expressed a lot of interest, so, you know, we'll wait and see.
We're going to have to keep the misery going, huh? But one good thing, though, if you get picked by Detroit, you could play your senior year of football in Detroit.
Well, you know, that's a good way to look at it.
That's right. You can take your playbook and show them some new plays.
Hey, that may work out.
Well, Andre, it's been a great year for you. I know it's exciting. Your mother's here with you. And what made you come out early?
Well, you know, basically it was just in my heart to play professional football. I'd had a really good year this past year. And, you know, that's just what I wanted to do. I asked the Lord to put the decision in my heart, and He did, and this is what I wanted to do.
That's another call. This one's collect.
Hello? Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
This is live television right here.
All right. Hey, Lee, Wayne said hello.
Oh, Wayne Fox. Oh, I guess it's going to be Detroit unless he's changed jobs.
You call who? Uh-huh. He should call someone from the Orlando Renegades.
Yeah, he said he's calling somebody from the Orlando Renegades. Congratulations, Andre.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Coach.
The Detroit Lions select Andre Ware, quarterback, Houston.
Yes,
New England is up next.
Yes, baby.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, well, We say we take you as close to the draft as possible. I don't know how much closer you can get to that. The phone rings. It's not the Orlando Renegades. Andre Ware, now it's just officially been announced that he's been selected by the Detroit Lions, but you already knew that. Andre Ware, 75 touchdown passes, 27 games, and he's going to a run-and-shoot offense. He would have been, he could play pocket, though, eventually, couldn't he, if he had to?
I had a chance to see him down at the Astrodome this year, and the kid has awesome talent. He's got the arm. He can throw the deep pass extremely well, throw the short-range passes. He's accurate. He's mobile, very confident. I just like his leadership skills in a combination with his physical talent. I like quarterbacks who take charge out there, have a lot of confidence, command respect from their teammates. Andre, you see the tight spiral there. He's reunited with Jason Phillips, one of his wideouts at Houston, and has a chance to put this Detroit Lion team in a position to contend for a Super Bowl possibility maybe 2-3 years down the road.
I tell you what, you've got the run and shoot with the run and shoot quarterback and a guy named Barry Sanders running behind him just in case things get sticky, Joe. Every year since the last few years at Detroit, they've been feeling very good in the offseason. Now they have even more reason to be
I think they have absolutely the greatest reason in the world. I'm so happy for Andre Ware. You could just see the kid. I mean, he's just bubbling with enthusiasm, excited about where he's going to go. Right now, the Detroit Lions have got to be ecstatic over the fact that they have a guy who can right now step in and play. Unlike Indianapolis, it's going to take some training for Jeff George. Hopefully he gets some protection. Hopefully he gets into a system that protects him and allows him to grow up. Here's a kid that's already past that stage. Now he has a chance to go out and just continue to grow as a professional. Look out, the rest of the league, here comes Detroit.
The run and shoot, this is going to be an offense that, well, they are the ones that are going to run it the true style. Houston is going to run it with Pardee. The next selection is owned by New England. They will pick 8th, and the card is coming up there, so we'll continue that in a moment. But the Patriots now selecting 8th and 10th as a result of their trade engineered a short while ago with Seattle.
New England, with its choice obtained from Seattle, selects Chris Singleton, linebacker, Arizona. Miami is now up.
You talk about a quality human being. New England just got one. Linebacker Chris Singleton from Arizona. Now remember, they will pick 10th also. Miami is next. Chris Singleton from New Jersey, two-time All-Pac-10 selection. 95 tackles, led his team with 10 sacks and 21 tackles for 101 yards and losses. Had 5 pass deflections, but that only begins to tell the story of Chris Singleton, Mel.
Tremendously productive player, Chris. You know, he can rush the passer, he can drop back into coverage. A lot of people didn't hear a lot about Chris because he played out at Arizona. Games start late on the East Coast. You don't get the results until maybe Monday, but Chris was out there every day performing, being consistent, and you have to agree that he figured to go in that top 7 to 15 area the first round.
Another reason why people may not have heard about him, because he didn't play in any of the All-Star games. Why? His twin brother Kevin needed bone marrow transplant from Chris as he was suffering from leukemia. Underwent the operation after this football season. We understand his brother is doing fine. We'll have an interesting visit with Chris Singleton a little bit later on in our draft show. I mean, this is a special, special human being, not to even mention a special football player. And the New England Patriots now have a linebacker that they can count in there for a long, long time. Remember, they had Andre Tippett was hurt all last year, as were the 3 members of their defense, Lepet, Veras, and Andre Tippett. So they missed the entire season. Chris Singleton will be a guy that can step right in with a head coach